All right, can everybody hear me? Okay, thank you everyone so much for being here. I'll just say up front, if it starts raining, please feel free to move under the tent. We felt this was a function that needed to happen, rain or shine, so we thought the tent would help us out a little bit with that. So I think we want to start this gathering with the singing of the national anthem. And today we have Carrie Sullivan, a student at Woods High School, here to sing for us.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. And a big thanks to the American Legion Post 530 for joining us with the colors today. This is really an exciting thing. I'm so lucky to be the one standing here to welcome everybody. As I look around here and see so many familiar faces and then new folks as well that, as I was hearing, you've driven from a far way away. I think, did I hear somebody say they came from Nashville? I wonder who's the furthest. We had someone from Nashville back here. Anybody else? A little further than, well, welcome. We're happy you're here. And then we had someone whose parents were original and they were born here. Where is she now? There you are. Okay, anybody else in that category?
Wendell's been here 79
That's right. Where are you? There you are back there. Almost. Awesome. Okay, and we have a list up here, I think, of the original the Pioneer family. So take a look at that later on. We had to kind of resort to just a board because with the weather we were a little uncertain about bringing down a big display. So anyway, we are so happy you're here. There's so many faces in the crowd who are really responsible for us being here today. The mayor, of course, is here. Jonathan Deaver has joined us. We're very pleased with that. I see Fred Merle, who was on council when we started the process, Glenn Dries, Melanie Brokaw, Anthony Smith, superintendent for the school district, is here, and Steve Denny. Who else? Who am I missing? Kenny Burke was also on council at the time. There you are. Jack Lee back there. But everybody's Greenhills, so that's awesome. It makes everybody special. And again, thank you for being here. We are very honored to have a representative of the National Park Service here today, and his name is Hugh Hawthorne. I am going to go ahead and turn it over to him to tell us a little bit about the National Historic Landmark Program.
Well, thank you all for inviting me here. Let's see, my name is Hugh Hawthorne. I'm the superintendent at William Howard Taft National Historic Site on Auburn Avenue in Cincinnati, which is also a National Historic Landmark. So if you haven't been there, I invite you to come down. But on behalf of the Secretary of Interior and the Director of the National Park Service, we would like to congratulate the Greenhills Historic District on its designation as a National Historic Landmark. National Historic Landmarks, or NHLs as we call them, are nationally significant historic places designated by the Secretary of Interior because they possess exceptional value or quality in illustrating or interpreting the history of the United States. Today, just over 2,500 historic places bear this designation, including almost 80 in the state of Ohio. Sorry. I went to the University of Idaho, sorry. Working with concerned citizens throughout the nation, the NHL program draws on the expertise of National Park Service staff who are responsible for nominating new landmarks and providing assistance to existing ones. The Greenhills Historic District officially became a National Historic Landmark on January 11th, 2017, by proclamation of the Secretary of the Interior, Sally Jewell. The Greenhills Village was one of 3 Greenbelt towns created by President Franklin Roosevelt as part of the Resettlement Administration's contributions to the New Deal. It represents an important milestone in the history of suburban planning and the evolution of the American suburb. It still retains much of its historic character, and importantly, still retains most of its historic greenbelt. It also represents an adaptation of the American Garden City planning to the environment and the culture of the Midwest of the United States. The time frame covered by the designation includes 1935 through 1950, spanning the Depression era, World War II, and the beginnings of the post-war movement of the Americans into the suburbs. The neighborhood planning, inclusion of parks and green areas, and the architecture of the village contributed greatly to the vision of the American suburban life in the 1950s. The high degree of historical integrity remaining and the enduring character of the village, with the innovative use of streets and pedestrian pathways, low-scale buildings, sense of openness, and its many parks, contribute greatly to its significance and make the village of Greenhills a worthy addition to the National Historic Landmarks program.
Okay, I thank everybody for being here again today. Since Yvonne mentioned who was all here, County Commissioner Greenhouse has joined us also over here. So we're excited about receiving this designation. And we're one of 2,000 landmarks nationwide, and I think we're the 15th in Hamilton County. We now join our sister Greenbelt communities of Greenbelt, Maryland and Greendale, Wisconsin. Our nomination for landmark status was written by historic consultant Beth Soliberger, who couldn't be with us today. And Beth wrote about 120 pages of text for the nomination, incorporated about another 20 pages of figures and photographs. And she had the assistance of many of you that are here today. And Beth asked me to read a statement on her behalf, which I'll do now. Beth had a meeting in Columbus and couldn't make this. So Beth would say, first, I would like to recognize the Village of Greenhills for making this possible. And then she also says, particularly Dave Moore, for sharing his thoughts and knowledge and appreciation of Greenhills history. I also appreciate Yvonne Kovac's support in making the village files accessible and accompanying me to the meeting of the National Park Service National Historic Landmarks Committee in Washington in May of 2016. I owe a huge debt to Linda McClellan, retired National Park Service historian, who provided critical guidance and co-authored the Statement of Significance. I also thank Julie Turner, who generously provided digital copies of hundreds of government documents she collected at the National Archives and Cornell University in the process of doing her dissertation on the three Greenbelt towns. The Greenhills Historical Society, which promoted the gold of NHL designation for years and was also helpful, especially Debbie Mills, Chris Russo, Paul Richardson, and Pat Karen. It was a long road, but we made it. And a big thanks to Beth for all the work she's done helping us here. And speaking of Patrick Kern, he's up.
Okay, I'd like to thank all that who are out here today, community members, village council people, Yvonne and Dave, representatives of the Park Service, people here in the town, fellow members of the Historical Society. Thank you for coming out. I'd like to thank the village and all the people who have been involved in this, Dave and Yvonne, and past members of the council, people in our Historical Society, interested community members, Beth Soliberger, and all the support for historical designation from preservation groups locally and around the country. I get emotional about Greenhills a little bit. So I'll try to hold it together. But, in 1935, men came out here in the early winter cold and began to build Greenhills. And it was a long slog. They were out here with mules and basic equipment through many a long day, building this town brick by brick, sidewalk by sidewalk. And it's a great testimony to the people who came out here and did this. Many of them were unemployed or underemployed. And so it ranged from somebody who was hired just to kind of, fetch and carry water and cement and things like that to really skilled tradesmen. It went all the way up to Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt and Rexford Tugwell, who was so involved in the Green Towns project. It includes people like John Vachon, who was the photographer, distinguished FSA photographer who came out and recorded the early days of Greenhills and later became a noted photographer for Look and Life magazine. So it includes a wide range of people that helped get Greenhills going. And then, of course, probably the greatest legacy, though, is the people who have been here and maintained it and been a part of the community, whether you lived here for a few years, whether you went to school here south of the lake or up in Forest Park, people who settled, who really always kind of carried the village in their heart, whether they remained in here or if they moved on. And all the people who've just also appreciated Greenhills, because I've run into many people in Cincinnati over the years who speak fondly of Greenhills even though they never lived here. They've always appreciated its beauty, its schools, its people. And so I want to just acknowledge all of that. I'm asking for three things for folks to consider today. I'd like us to rejoice in this opportunity to celebrate NHL status. It's a remarkable thing. It's very rare to have this. I'd like people to remember the people who built it, the men and women who administered Greenhills in the early days and continue to do so up through the present time, all the people who've lived here, who raised families here and went to school here, and have always kept Greenhills special and held it in their hearts. And I'd like to take this as an opportunity to renew. Like a lot of older suburbs, Greenhills has had some challenges over the years. And I think this is a really great opportunity for the village and the people to look at Greenhills, what makes it special, make sure that we don't lose this status, really keep developing this preservation ethic that's taken root, whether it's developing codified ordinances or special committees or initiatives to really make the most of this, because it's a great thing that we have. And it's, Greenhills, we don't have factories, we don't have a lot of industry, we have our shopping center. And I think it's really important at this time that people come together, the council, village members, the school, the historical society, and really use this opportunity to celebrate and move Greenhills into the 21st century. There's three things I want to mention about the people who designed and constructed Greenhills, the three aspects of it. The human environment, the built environment, and the land. All those things were taken into consideration, and I ask that we keep those in mind as we go forward. The topography was carefully considered when they designed this place. The wind currents, the lay of the land, the way roads would be graded and organized through the village. It was meant to be pedestrian friendly. A lot of the ideas behind Greenhills were cutting edge, and they remain so today. People come out to study Greenhills. We've had people from China and Europe come out and study Greenhills, and from other places in the United States. It's a testimony to its greatness. So we have the land, we have the green belt, the parks. Let's keep that. Let's think about the built environment. These wonderful buildings here in Greenhills that were built to last, built like tanks. Look at our community building. Ask anybody who's tried to work on some of the walls or structure in that building. It's they kind of have to come back and rebid things sometimes. It's pretty amazing. But also, mostly the people. All these things were meant to mutually reinforce one another. When you came to Greenhills, you were expected to interact with your neighbors. Things were laid out in such a way that you were to interact with other people and be part of a community. So those three things, let's keep those in mind as we go forward. And just keep in mind, I'm going to mention Ron Otting briefly, who was for many years a mayor and a principal and a teacher here in Greenhills, and came out here back in the 30s with his family. And he had an interesting column in the Journal shortly before he unexpectedly died back in the fall of 2010. And he was addressing the shopping center and asking the sort of bigger question, what makes a good neighbor? And I'd like us to think about that as we go forward, as we look at these elements, as we interact with one another. What makes for good community? What makes for good stewardship? What makes for neighborliness? Let's keep those things in mind as we go ahead. So my final thought is, let's all work together and let's make Greenhills the best it can be. It's a fantastic place. It's good. Let's keep making it better. Thank you.
Thank you for the comments. I'd also like to ask Representative Deaver to say a few words for us.
Well, good morning. It is always a pleasure and honor to be here in Greenhills. I always like to say that probably the best neighborhood I have to walk when I go door to door is Greenhills. It's the best place to walk. It's in probably the best place where you can meet as many people as you possibly can. I have never yet met somebody who was not active, engaged, not only in what we do in Columbus, but what you care about here, not only in your community, but in the region. So to me, it's a privilege and honor to represent you. And I'm really grateful to be here today. I want to thank the mayor. I want to thank the Historical Society for making this a reality, and this is well-deserved for the community. So I think we'll just get to it, because I know there's some little kids here who would love to get into these. So I think it's probably best that we get this unveiling going so they can get to the refreshments. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, and I would like to ask Commissioner Duhoff if you'd like to say a few words too.
I just want to say I'm sporting your colors today. I don't know if y'all can see me, but I got my green on. I went to Seton High School too, so I've got a lot of green. So congratulations. We had the pleasure of honoring this community and the designation at the commission meeting a couple months ago. So a privilege to be here with all of you. Congratulations. It's about the brick and mortar, it's about the land, but mostly it's about the people that make up Greenhills, that have and do now make up the community of Greenhills. So congratulations. It's just an honor to join you here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for being here. We also had one individual who had to catch a flight, couldn't be here. His name is Jeffrey Burt, and he was very instrumental in ordering this beautiful plaque you're just about to see. We did have a lot of input on where to put the plaque. Originally, we were thinking Pioneer Park and a million different locations, but the thought was to put it here with some of our other plaques that we have, and face it towards the Commons, which of course is a historic piece for us. From here we can see pretty many of the community building, the shopping center behind it, the housing everywhere. So it seemed to be kind of in the middle of it all. It's sandstone boulder, right? From in Ohio, it weighs 3,020 pounds. The plaque was mounted on it, and now I think we would want our speakers and Commissioner Driehaus and Beaver to uncover this thing.
I'll stand in the back. You
Like, pull it back.
We'll just go straight back. How about that? All right, we'll go to the rear.
Ready? All right. Okay, thank you. Everybody's going to want to get a close look at that. Enjoy some cupcakes. We also have a guest book going around. Please, please, please be sure you sign it. Put how long you've been in Greenhills, whatever you want to write with it. Please feel free to do so, because we'll like to keep that for historical purposes too. So thank you again, everyone, for being here and celebrating with us. Have a good day, and we did not get rained on.